Grown Rogue is a craft cannabis company and they are the #1 flower producer in Oregon. They're currently operating in Oregon, Michigan, Minnesota, Maryland, and New Jersey. As much as they're a little known company and a penny stock, they kind of, I hate to call it like a cult following, but they have a following of investors and shareholders that are incredibly loyal to the company. And this is for a number of reasons. One of them being that they produce some of the highest quality cannabis in the US at the cheapest price. And the reason that they have this loyal following is kind of this simple business 101 principle, which is that they're undercutting the competition. They're producing some of the best quality cannabis around, and they're doing it all cheaper than all of their competitors. And I've mentioned in previous videos that this has resulted in Curaleaf, one of the biggest cannabis manufacturers in the US, to abandon operations in Oregon simply because they couldn't compete with Grown Rogue either on quality or on price. And this just kind of underlines one of the substantial competitive advantages that Grown Rogue actually have. And so Grown Rogue have just recently announced the commencement of operations in New Jersey. This is their 5th location. And so one of the critical things to know about this new location in New Jersey is that by mid-2025, Grown Rogue are looking to double the output of the manufacturing of capacity from this location. And one of the very specific reasons why they chose this location is because there's very limited supply and very high demand in this area. So this kind of factor where there's high demand and very limited supply, combined by the points that I mentioned earlier in this video around the fact that they are producing top quality cannabis at very cheap, highly competitive prices, is going to put them in a very favorable position in this location. And now that they've started operations in New Jersey, the next step is to start getting the ball rolling in Illinois. Illinois is the new location, the new state that Grown Rogue have confirmed they are planning to enter. You will see here that Grown Rogue signed a joint venture with EBC Ventures, and this deal involves an agreement to acquire 100% of Cannaquality LLC, which holds the craft grower's license with the Illinois Department of Agriculture. And so, like I said in a previous video, Grown Rogue are looking to enter 10 to 12 states, and they're looking to enter one new state anywhere between 9 to 12 months. So this means with their current strategy of trying to enter up to 12 states, that's going to take anywhere between probably 4 to 7 years. And so one of the critical things that's really exciting for me as a shareholder is that, I've acquired shares in Grown Rogue at 38 cents. And I plan to hold in line with this point as to when they get to 10 to 12 states. And I think as a shareholder, one of the things that's really interesting for me, or one of the questions I'm asking myself, is where are they going to go after that? And it could be that they decide to expand even further and enter more states. It could be that they start looking at mergers and acquisitions, buying up competitors or buying up businesses in related fields. It could be cannabis infused drinks, for example, or it could be that they sell up. Maybe they sell up to a larger tobacco company. We don't really know, but certainly signing up to this kind of strategy and kind of almost aligning myself with Obi Strickler, the CEO, who also, he's a 20% owner of Grown Rogue, is something to me as an investor that's very exciting. And so one of the very unique things about Grown Rogue, and one of the advantages that they have, is around the structure of their business. They operate small scale manufacturing facilities, almost as if they are out of the box facilities that they can set up in different states. And this is what enables them to go into these different states, the likes of Oregon, the likes of New Jersey, and just set up shop, almost as if they are independently run cannabis manufacturing plants. And so part of their strategy is that when they're looking at these different states, they're looking at states with a low barrier of entry. What does that mean? It means they're looking at states where there is potentially an undersupply of cannabis, where the cannabis is known to be very, very poor quality, and where it's known that the manufacturing costs of cannabis are incredibly expensive. So when they come in, those 3 factors that I've just mentioned become significant advantages that they have, because they can come in at a lower cost with high grade, high quality product, and they can come in to places where there's a high demand and there's low supply, which again positions them very favorably. And again, it's one of the reasons why I love this company so much and why I've invested in this company. And so all of these advantages that I've mentioned are reflected in their recent financial results as well. And so, for example, you can see in the second quarter of 2024, Grown Rogue reported record revenue of $7.7 million, which is a 23% increase compared to the same period in 2023. And so this growth is as a direct result of strong sell-through rates and also record production in terms of yields and sales. And this is compounded by their customer loyalty. Like I said, from the shareholder point of view, there is a following of shareholders that are incredibly loyal. They love this company simply because of some of the attributes I've mentioned, because of Obi Strickler's character as a CEO, his ethos, his mission. You can see it when he speaks in interviews, his passion, his drive, his real desire to represent shareholders, as a 20% inside owner of the company as well. And this is also in line with, like I was saying, the customers as well. Grown Rogue keep their ear to the ground. They listen to customers. They're constantly innovating and pioneering in this space, developing new strains and developing new brands so that their customers are introduced to new concepts, new strains, new packaging consistently, which excites them. And in turn, what does this do? It drives a level of loyalty to the brand. And again, this kind of like cult following. Because they're a niche brand, because they're a small company, they're earning this reputation with customers because they've got the consistently high quality product at very fair prices for the market as well. And so one of the other strengths of Grown Rogue is around their financial stability and discipline. Obi Strickler talks about this discipline all the time, whether it's financial discipline around capital allocation, which is something I love hearing from him, to just discipline in terms of the speed of execution. And so you can see that despite a decline of 38% in operating cash flow, it's worth noting that this reduction in cash flow is largely attributed to this spending in preparation for the launch in New Jersey and also some one-off payments with a partner in Michigan as well. And so you can see that the one-off payment for Michigan was around ownership and increasing their ownership. And this comes back to what I was talking about, capital allocation, and the fact that Obi Strickler, as a 20% shareholder of Grown Rogue, he is looking to grow the shareholder value. So as a shareholder, myself as an investor, me being aligned with Obi Strickler, who holds 20%, I know that he's going to make moves. He's going to allocate capital in ways that he thinks are going to be most sensible and return greater value to other shareholders as well, which is something that I absolutely love. And so you can also see down here that they've been reducing outstanding debt. And with this payment of debt, what this is actually going to do is it's going to actually decrease the annual cash interest expenses by $200,000. And so again, one of the reasons I love this company so much is standard kind of business 101, which is to produce one of the best quality products out there at the cheapest price possible, which just completely flushes out the competition. On top of that, you have a business owner, a CEO, Obi Strickler, who holds 20% of the company. Again, that reassures me, like I was saying earlier, about his desire to represent shareholders, respective shareholders like myself, an investor, and wanting to return as much shareholder value and making decisions around that. He's got this fantastic expansion plan, which is not even halfway through. They've got this objective to open up 12 facilities across all states of the US, and they've only got 5 at the moment, and we're not really sure what they're going to be doing after that. And so as an investor, again, I've invested in a company where there's a clear runway ahead of them, a clear expansion plan, which is tried and tested. They've demonstrated proof of concept and they're actually executing on what they're saying. And then on top of that, we have a CEO who's obsessed, who's very driven, who's highly focused on operational excellence, who's very disciplined in the way in which he spends his money. He talks about capital allocation all of the time. He has a team that's highly passionate. They're very driven around the product itself and creating the best possible product that they can, and constantly innovating in this space, which gives a lot of problems for the competitors who can't innovate at the rate that Grown Rogue are, and they can't expand, certainly with larger companies, because Grown Rogue have this out-of-the-box, off-the-shelf model where they build 50 square foot manufacturing facilities in different states. They have an advantage of being smaller, of being very agile, of being able to execute very, very quickly as well. And so I've done a number of different videos on Grown Rogue where I talk a little bit more about their expansion strategy, and I go into a lot more detail onto some of the areas in this video where I've kind of just gone over them very quickly. If you want to find out more, take a look at the videos up here. They're also in the link in the description below. They're worth rewatching a few times if you get tired or bored, because there is quite a lot of information in them. And naturally, if you have any questions around this subject as well, feel free to drop some comments below. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and see you in the next one. All the best.